Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
I believe we're recording.
Yes, I can see it on the corner, upper corner.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so welcome to the new employee training, general review, also known as reviews, process and procedures. Introducing general reviews. A general review of the association at ground level is an excellent way to physically and visibly ensure our communities are kept to the highest standards of care. This allows us to, it's for preserving increasing property values, keeping on top of maintenance and catching issues early on, managing risks and the cost of deferred maintenance, keeping lines of communication open with not just the board, but homeowners and vendors as well, educate homeowners of the rules and etiquette for living in an HOA community. A review can and should be seen by the majority of homeowners as a positive experience if done well and courteously. Think of a review as a way to show the community you care and have their well-being at heart. We treat all residents with respect and understanding during the inspection process. Examples of ways to do this are, if you see a piece of litter, pick it up. If you see a garage, mailbox, car door open, contact the resident and let them know, or close it if you can by not trespassing on their property. Report light outages, hard to read addresses, etc. to residents. Explain your concern for their safety, and the first responders need to be able to see their address in the event of an emergency. Warmly greet those you pass by and introduce yourself. And these are all just ways to try to make the review process less intimidating.
Mhm.
When you do a review and maybe you don't incorporate these things, residents and homeowners may just think of it as a disciplinary measure or a way for you to kind of, invade their privacy and nitpick their yard. And we're trying to make residents and homeowners not have such a negative perception of reviews.
Mhm.
Prior to visiting a location, let residents know what to expect. I like to send out either in their newsletter and or maybe if their newsletter only goes out by annually, and just you might want to mention in there, that reviews do take place and what our intentions are, and or it could be an email blast before you go. You don't necessarily have to say exactly when to expect you. If you want to kind of leave that, open, you can, but I like to just kind of do like a general notification. And when you do that, let them know what to expect during a review, not to be alarmed, and the purpose of a review. Mention you will only be viewing properties from the ground level and from the common areas. You won't invade anywhere. Privacy is expected. Highlight the benefits of a review, such as we aim to identify any blights or necessary maintenance issues. Explain the letter process. We issue courtesy notices to remind residents about a range of issues from forgotten curbside garbage cans to necessary aesthetic fixes. Our aim is to strike a balance between the needs of the community and the needs of individual residents in order to promote increased property values, which benefit everyone. We find that addressing issues right away acts as a helpful reminder for small things and provides sufficient notice for residents to make larger changes. Then I also have examples of letters
Okay.
that I could share with you. Some associations have their own letters and their own templates and form letters. We also have our own templates and form letters that I could share with you. I think let me just make sure I don't have that later on. Uh-oh, now I'm going forward. I'm gonna have to go all the way back. Hold on.
No worries.
Let's just go this way. I put this on here. Residents' Bill of Rights. I just thought this was nice to see because again, this process is trying to not invade anyone's privacy or make them feel that we're picking on them. So it's just kind of like a nice reminder to, treat the homeowners and residents with dignity and respect, make decisions about your care, and kind of remind them that you're there to help them and to inform them. We're not trying to abuse them or invade their privacy.
Mhm.
So I thought that was a cute slide. Let me see here. I wanted to show you an example letter. So here's like an example letter that we use.
I
Um,
think you would have to go out of the current share screen to reshare what you're sharing right now.
oh, okay. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yep.
So here is a courtesy letter that
Yep.
we actually worked together on. Everyone at the office kind of gave some input. And this kind of all started with when COVID started, or didn't necessarily start, but we modified this letter, as a result of COVID.
Mhm.
So we're doing inspections, and sometimes you get so focused on enforcing rules that we sometimes get a little our language or our tone could start sounding a little dry and a little bit, you did something bad and you need to fix this or else. And
Yeah.
we were getting complaints during COVID about that. Homeowners thought we didn't sound that we were empathetic, and so this was brought to our attention during a managers meeting. We all decided to work on the language of our letter and try to make it as empathetic and understanding as possible, changing the tone. So we try to encourage all of our boards to start with this tone. But then again, it's really up to them how they want to send out these letters, although our name is associated with it. So
Mhm.
we do our best to try to get the boards to agree to take this tone. So as you can see, we put owning a home and community like. The association name involves conforming to certain rules and responsibilities that are designed to protect your rights and those of your neighbors. Sometimes, often unintentionally, the HU rules are overlooked, so we send a courtesy reminder such as this. So we're kind of emphasizing the fact that it's just a courtesy and it's meant to help them, not hurt them, and
Mhm.
I won't read the whole letter, but I could send you all of these letters. After this meeting, so you can review them and incorporate them how you see fit.
Great. That's great.
They do escalate, so if they don't resolve the issue within a reasonable amount of time. So as you can see here, you could put the number of days, and also if the number of days you put is not enough, the homeowner can respond in writing or give you a call. Actually, we just say to call to put it the response in writing. And we do that because we like to keep a record of it. And also because there's times when you may not recall having a conversation with that homeowner regarding a violation. If
Mhm.
you have it in writing, you can always refer to it.
Okay.
Um, but if they don't resolve it in the amount of time that you specified, or they have not responded, we do have an escalation letter where there's a first violation, or violation or second violation, and a hearing letter, and then when you go to a hearing, there's also a hearing results letter.
Okay.
All right, so I'll go back to my screen show or slideshow. Let's share. Oh, where did it go? Here it is. Okay, so preparing for the review, first review your management contract to determine the frequency and mandated reviews. This can be found on the Y drive under management agreements. I just put a snapshot of an example. This is from one of my associations,
Mhm.
and it says here, agents shall perform monthly general reviews of the association common areas and facilities from ground level and submit findings, action taken, and recommendations to the board of directors to assist in preserving aesthetics and functionality of the common areas. This is standard language in most of our contracts. The only thing that changes depending on the association is the frequency usually.
Mhm.
Um, a key note to take away from today is that it is in our contract that we do submit findings to the board and recommendations to the board. And it doesn't say how that has to happen. You can wrap up your review, write a report, email to the board, just FYI. You could put it in a punch list that's reviewed at the board meetings, or you could, put your report in your current file and review it at the meeting. However you want to report it to the board just should happen every time you do a review. Not just because you want to, confirm that you did the review, but there may be things that they should be aware of, including any violations that you are citing or any areas of the community that you felt that was a safety hazard or a concern. That should be brought to their attention.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, this is still under the preparation. Review the association's rules and CCNR's use restrictions. This can be found on the Y drive under governing documents and on the Z drive under rules. Make notes or print rules to reference during your, I should say, review. That should not say walkthrough.
Mm-hmm.
At your first meeting with the new board or board president, this is again preparing for your reviews, discuss the review process and determine if the board or anyone else, including committee members, employees, or vendors, attend the regular reviews, or whether you should perform the review solo.
Mm-hmm.
If board members do attend reviews, confirm whether you may have a quorum of the board, and if that is the case, you will need to send an agenda notifying the membership of the walkthrough/review. If the association has individual garbage cans and there are rules when to bring out and in the garbage cans, find out garbage pickup day, schedule the review on the following day. It's kind of a good time to do that. Find out if your board has any pet peeves or areas they are more lenient. For example, some associations prohibit parking in the driveway, but you may find that the board does not enforce that rule at all. So you'll spend all your day, all day riding up cars and driveways, only to find out that they don't enforce that anymore.
Right.
I have an association like that that does just that, and you don't want to spend your time enforcing something that they will not back you up on.
Mm-hmm.
Or some boards may have big issues with, for example, pots in the common area, and some may allow it. So you just want to kind of find out what they really want you to focus on and enforce, so that you know how to best to spend your time on your review.
So I have just a general question. Would you, even if a board is not necessarily enforcing a policy that is in their documents, would you at least note it in your report that, or would you just leave that out?
It depends. I mean, it depends on how prevalent or the issue is. If it's, for example, I just said, cars in the driveway.
Mm-hmm.
I have an association that 127 homes, and out of 127 homes, probably 90% of them park in their driveway. And so, if
Yeah.
I were to report that, it would take me hours, to write.
Right.
So I just, if it is. Like that, then maybe not. But
Mm-hmm.
if it's, something that is, not as prevalent, then maybe, because it is true, as boards change, enforcement can change, and they may say, manager, this was the rule, you didn't enforce this, and you could use that as a defense, saying, no, I did submit it to the board, and I was instructed not to take further action.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Okay.
could decide to do that.
Okay.
Um, it's kind of nice to figure out, the community's, in addition to just the board, but also the community's pet peeves. And you'll learn that as time goes by. You may learn that the majority of the community, they do want you to enforce that rule, but the board's just ignoring it. And
Mm-hmm.
in that case, then that may be a good way to show the community that you were attempting to enforce it.
Yeah. Or maybe even putting in there just the parking, um, the the driveway parking was not reviewed per the board's request or something.
Exactly. That would be
Yeah.
good. That would be a good way to do that too.
Okay.
Okay. Determine if the association has any other parties responsible for CCNR rule enforcement. I put groups limiting your inspection scope, i.e. architectural committee who enforces architectural rules, and or parking guards, security officers who enforce parking. Many of our associations, they do have other groups that do the enforcement of certain things. And so if you can limit your scope, it may help you be able to focus on areas that are not covered by anyone else.
Mhm.
Um, you know, the reason why I say that too is because a lot of times some of these groups will be more in tune with some of these enforcement issues. For example, if architectural committee is involved, they'll know, and you may know, depending on how involved you are with their committees, about a particular change in a homeowner's property and why, and that it's been approved. Whereas you may not be as keyed into that information, so um, it's always good to figure out the scope.
Mhm.
Find out if the association has custom form letters they want to use, if they have different approach to frequency or severity of letters. That's another thing. It's good to find out is how frequent the board wants, say, for example, a courtesy letter to go out. Um, One example for me is I have an association, and they're okay with the courtesy letters going out for every violation except for a RV or boat or jet ski violation.
Mhm.
And so when we see a RV, boat, or jet ski in the driveway on the street, we're not supposed to send any courtesy letters. We're supposed to go straight to a hearing letter. And the reason why they do that is because it's cheaper to to violate the rules and have these courtesy letters go out 2 to 3 months than to pay for storage. So basically, if we did the whole courtesy and second letter, hearing letter, um, it would take us 2 to 3 months to get a fine assessed for
Yeah.
these homeowners. And so most of the homeowners only bring out their boats and jet skis in the summer, so they basically get cheaper storage if we were to follow that frequency.
Mhm.
So you want to find out from your boards their preferences there.
Okay.
Review the association's violation schedule and or fine policy. It's usually located on the Z drive under rules. All letters should begin as a kind, non-offensive courtesy. We don't want to send seen as authors of nasty grams or seeking to insult or pick on anyone. Letters should be viewed as educational, encouraging, and a means to resolve concerns. Typical letter starts as follows: first violation / courtesy letter, second violation / final courtesy letter, third and subsequent violations are hearing letters followed by hearing result and a fine notice.
Okay.
Okay. Review your community maps, their layouts, determine if you will need to walk or drive, and if you need to break up the walkthrough. Here's an example of one of my communities. It's a map of Sunrise Ridge. It has 261 units, but it's sprawling. It's
Yeah.
it's in a
Yeah.
hilly location. So I've broken it up into zones, and I actually walk each of the zones. I can drive this whole community in one review, but they like to walk them, so I've broken it up, and it can take me 2 to 3 hours to get through this each zone on my walks, just depending on who joins us. Um, so you want to kind of try to map it out and figure out what your plan is going to be when you do your reviews.
Okay. Do each of those zones have different pickup? I mean, do they have standard pickup for the trash, or do they? Um, I'm just curious how you break up those zones to handle like trash violations and stuff.
Yes, so they all have the same trash pickup day. And what I do each month is I will walk each of the zones on my monthly reviews. Not each of the zones. I'll walk each of my assigned zones, and then
Mhm.
what I'll do is I'll follow up with a drive-through of
Okay.
just violations. So
Okay.
even if I'm inspecting this zone in the green, I'll walk it, and then I'll get in my car and I'll drive through each of the other zones just to follow up on anything I've written up in the prior months
Okay.
to see if they've brought it into compliance or if they need a subsequent letter.
Okay.
Actually, that was at the bottom of here. I forgot to cover that.
Oh.
Trying to get away from reading every single word on here, but I probably should. Okay, so conducting the review. Our contracts do not specify a mandatory amount of time for conducting the review, but I generally cap reviews to no more than 2 hours.
Okay.
Um, I think that's a fair amount of time. Our meetings are not to exceed 2 hours, so I've incorporated that.
Mhm.
I've talked to other managers, and everyone you talk to kind of will tell you, different. It's either tell you, you know, you have to inspect the entire property, so however long it takes. Others are, you know, they'll say an hour, 2 hour, 3 hours. It just depends on who you talk to. But I talked to Paul, and he said that it's fine to cap them at 2 hours if you would like.
Mhm.
What to bring? These are all voluntary. But the things that I like to bring on my inspections is if the community has smart webs, bring your tablet. It's really helpful, and or your phone.
Mhm.
And if you're not familiar with smart webs, talk to Sue.
Okay.
Um, Not all communities have it. It is an online cloud-based software to document violations, and it's and it also it's where we can generate letters, and it's pretty neat. It's usually for larger communities that have a lot of violation letters.
Mhm.
Most of those communities have switched to smart webs. It reduces the workload for Susan, our letter writer, and sometimes the manager as well.
Mhm.
An inspection checklist, meaning things that you may be looking for specifically. If you have a project that's going on, and you want to follow up on that project, see the progress on it, so you can report at the next meeting, or if there's violations that you want to follow up on. So we just kind of throughout the month, you're going to think of things that you want to look at, and you want to get that checklist going. Maps, lists of addresses. This is helpful. Sometimes, instead of having to write all the addresses down, sometimes if you have a smaller community, you could like print out like a spreadsheet with just all the addresses on it. Then as you go through each address, you can write your notes for the address.
Mhm.
That can sometimes help. Um, Copies of rules and regulations. If you're not quite familiar, that could be helpful. If you're not sure if they enforce, the color drapes, it's good to have that handy. So when you pull up and someone has this tie-dye looking sheets in their windows, that is in fact a violation. So you do take note of it and
Mhm.
follow up on it. List of old violations. So anything you've written up. I usually keep track of 12 months of violations. I don't keep longer than 12 months. I
Mhm.
usually, if it only comes up once in 12 months, I think it's time for a courtesy letter again. Homeowners change, memories fade. So I think it's fair to send within 12 months another letter if it reoccurs only once every 12 months. Um, Gloves, a small trash bag. I like to bring these, especially when I'm doing the review on foot.
Mhm.
You'll always see a piece of litter, something to pick up.
Yeah.
Sometimes not so great things you see out there.
Yeah.
I've found a baby deer one time that was stuck in a
Oh.
fence, and I helped it out.
Yeah.
I've come across stray dogs, and I mean, you don't have to put yourself out there to pick those things up or to help those things, but I like to do it. And I
Yeah.
think that if anyone saw me walk past a piece of garbage on the ground, and they would think that I don't really care.
Yeah. Right. Right.
um, and Oh, personal protection equipment. These are all, again, optional. Some people carry a mask, pepper spray. It's whatever makes you feel comfortable. I know managers that carry stun guns.
Yeah.
Most of our communities that we're going to take on management of are not in a high risk area, so you should be safe.
Mhm.
But it's whatever makes you feel comfortable. When I go to my Oakland properties, I do bring my pepper spray. And it's not because of anyone I've encountered within my community. It's I parked on sometimes risky streets. There's lots of
Mhm.
homeless transients, and I've been approached, and so I just feel more comfortable having it on me. And this is whatever makes you feel comfortable.
Mhm.
Wear comfortable shoes, business casual clothing. So it's kind of the same dress code as we have in the office. So no yoga pants or, clothing with words on it,
Mhm.
business casual. Depending on the weather, a light jacket, hat, and or sunglasses may be helpful. A camera or your phone where you can take pictures.
Yeah.
And on foot, I like to bring a bag or a backpack or fanny pack, so I keep everything. So
Mhm.
I'll have my things that I have to write with, which I didn't mention earlier because I was covering the tablet. But if you don't bring a tablet, bring something to write with, writing materials, which is pretty obvious, but I thought I'd throw that in there.
Yep.
All right. Conducting the review. So inspect the common areas and homes from the ground level, common area only. Do not go into yards, lots, look into windows, over fences. If you can't see into it from the common area, don't get something to stand on to look over.
Yeah.
That, anywhere you can't see in from the common area is meant to, have, homeowners have a reasonable expectation for privacy. And so if you do that, you could be in violation of privacy laws. And yeah, that's not good.
Right.
um, looking into windows, even drones. I don't know if you've seen that, but there's now in a lot of places rules and penalties if you were to use like a drone, because that can see into windows,
Mhm.
and someone may not expect you to be that close, and everyone has a right to their own privacy, right?
Yes. Yes.
Document your review, photograph and write down any issues you find. Include as much detail as you can. Include the concern, location of the concern. For example, if somebody's window is broken. I've sent a letter like that, or I've sent a letter saying that their screen is ripped, and they wanted to know which screen. And so thank goodness I remembered where it was, and I said, oh, it's to the right of your front door on the second level.
Yeah.
It seems silly, but it helps having that information.
Mhm.
As with any HOA document, the inspection documentation should be clearly written, professional, as it may serve as evidence in case of a claim against the HOA.
Mhm.
Following a review, send the list of violations to the company letter writer, unless that letter writer is you, of course. Right as of right now, Susan Nelson is the letter writer.
Okay.
And I have a spreadsheet, which I'll have to stop this share and go into share the spreadsheet that Michael Lee created for one of his associations.
Okay.
Oh, it didn't share the right. Okay, share. Oh, it doesn't want to do that. Let me see if I can minimize it and bring it over. Try one more time. Haha. It was on my other screen, so maybe it doesn't like
Oh,
the dual screens.
okay.
So Michael Lee created the spreadsheet. He shared it with the office. Everybody thought it was great. So I use this as an example. I'll send this to you as well.
Mhm.
Um, he has instructions for his walkthroughs on the first sheet.
I actually think Paul might have sent this to me, but yes, please send it again just so I can verify it's the document.
Will
He sent me a
do.
lot of documents. Yeah.
Will do. Okay. And then he has it by a type of violation on the bottom.
Okay.
So the first one is architectural violations, and he's kind of come up with examples of the violations. He has it by address. So you can modify this as you see fit.
Mhm.
Obviously, these may not all apply to your association, all the violations on top. And you may not have the same frequency of letters, et cetera, et cetera. But it's kind of neat. This helps Susan if you were, if you're going to have her write your letters, to fill in all the information, the address. You would check which violation the letter needs to go out, the details of the violation, if the homeowner responds, and the status of the letter. And there's some more information over here, but and then here's some
Mhm.
landscape examples. You can see, so it's by address, dead
Yeah.
yard, notes. You can see the progress here,
Mhm.
the, the map, violation list, so the list of rules. So it's kind of
Okay.
it kind of puts everything in one place, like all the
Mm.
things we've been talking about.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna go back to my slideshow. Here we go. We're almost done. All right. After the review, send applicable RFPs or work orders as needed to vendors. The results of the review should be communicated to the board at the subsequent board meeting. File the inspection results with the HOA's records. Inspection results should become a permanent record of the HOA. They serve as a record of maintenance, how problems were addressed and when, and may serve as evidence in a lawsuit. And that's it. That
Okay.
covers it. Do you have any questions?
No, I would love to just get a copy of the presentation just so I can have that as a reference tool to
Will
go back
do.
to. Yeah.
Okay, I'll get you copies of everything. I'll send the presentation and all the backup materials. And if anything
Wonderful.
comes up ever, your question, feel free to contact me.
Okay.
And it was,
Thank you so much.
you're welcome. Nice to talk to you. Talk to you
Okay.
soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.